So, hi everyone, I'm so happy to be here sharing an amazing story. I think as I tell you the story of how our project came to be, it will be easier for me to tell you why it is so important, if you feel the call to digital mission, to participate and to actually come up and join us in discovering all the treasures that digital mission has for us. So how did we start? What am I doing? As you can see here, there is an image above the title of Digital Mission. And I also say the story because of that. We learn better through stories. We love stories. And I hope that you, at some point, you become a part of this one. So the Digital Mission, we started when the Pope convened the Synod, and we wanted to help. Monsignor Lucio, you can see him right there, he imagined how it would look like to bring the synodal process out of the parishes, to go forth and find everyone. We wanted to reach everyone. So he imagined a digital synod. How would it look like? So we started looking for software that would help, something that we could do online that would make the process easy. But we didn't find what we were looking for. So we had to get creative. What we did, we came with a proposal that we would do the same process that people were doing inside parishes. It's me, right? I'm doing something, I'm sure. Okay. We decided that we wanted the same process, but what we were going to do is do it online, bringing the synod to all the people that were not necessarily in the parishes, but they received Catholic content through social media or that are not close to the institution. But we wanted to reach them. So we did a pilot stage with 3 evangelizers only. And we had a challenge, which was how are we going to present the conclusions, what we found from this stage. Also, we have to see if it was possible to reach out, to have that impact going forth. And the whole project had this name, The Church is Listening, because that was the purpose. We wanted to go out and listen from people. And the identity, what we encountered was not Catholic influencers. It was missionaries. And that was a beautiful thing to find. So what would be the difference between a Catholic influencer and a Catholic missionary? What's in your heart? Like, I would like you to actually tell me, what do you think is the difference? It was so clear that it was also a response to a calling. And this just being there and how the project was born, how we created the logo, how the questionnaires were designed, all of that was done by a team of evangelizers from the whole world. Different countries, different languages, and that did not stop us. That actually made us super strong. It's getting more interesting. This was just a pilot stage. So what happened? The proposal was accepted, and in 2.5 months, this is really important, 2.5 months, this was a very big task that we needed to do. First of all, we needed to find the participants. We needed to find the missionaries that would help us do that. We got 244 from different countries: Mexico, the United States, Canada, Brazil, Colombia, from all over the world, even Tanzania. It was amazing, the response that we got. So we created the questionnaires, and the communities were born. That was the first thing that happened. We got together so that we could send out those questions and have people participate. We collected 150,000 answers. Can you imagine that? I mean, this was only possible because people are there on social media. Then we have to bring all of this information, discern it, and write the report. Because we needed to turn something in. We needed to tell people what we have found. We needed to go back and tell the Synod, this is what we're seeing in the digital continent. So we write the report, we get together, and we start calling it the Digital Synod. So that is how this project began. We didn't know what we were going to find. We just knew we wanted to help. We wanted to go there, connect with other evangelizers, and actually see what the Holy Spirit had to reveal to us. We were very happily surprised. And then remember that there were different phases of the Synod. And Angie, would you help me with the next slide, please? So because of that, the feeling of belonging, the sense of community, the wanting to be together started to arise in the communities. And we started to think, how can we get together? One of the things that we did was days of prayer. As you can see here, you can see a couple of pictures of the things that we have done. You can see above, the first one, sometimes 200, 300 missionaries get together to pray for each other, to pray for different intentions. We got together for World Mission Sunday, Christmas, Easter, World Youth Day in person, a prayer for peace at Easter. And we started having these encounters online, and it was beautiful. Seeing the evangelizers praying in their own languages, but everybody was there together. That was not an obstacle. That was a very beautiful experience because those that you know they're out there, now you had a face to match the name. And we were praying and getting to know each other better through these encounters because you know how they pray, you know their intentions, you know what they have in their hearts, and that started to bring us closer. What did we find? Up to this stage, we found that the evangelizers actually told us we're not influencers. No, we are evangelizing. That is the mission of the church, and that is what we want to do. Then a fiery love. They really are on fire. There's no other word for that. The powerful love for the church was there, evident, irregardless of the country that we were in, or the evangelizers that we were talking to. They all shared that passionate love for the church and for mission. I can't stop for bringing the image to my heart of our first event that we did in person for the World Youth Day. 200,000 people showed up. And when we saw each other there and we were having the conversations and the connection was so real, it didn't feel like it was the first time we were getting together. And when I think about it, I remember what they were saying, the joy, because it was joy that we could see community. And that is a memory that I treasure. So we also found that the followers trust the evangelizer, and actually they can be very vulnerable. They share and they connect and they tell the evangelizers things they're probably not telling anyone else. So because the evangelizer is coming from a place of sincere vulnerability also, there is a connection that is real. And that is something that I want to emphasize, because we could think that because social media or digital media in general, it happens virtually, the connection is not real. And that is not the case. The connection is deep. And because the digital evangelizer has the capacity to reach and to touch that parts of ordinary life, they accompany their following in the simplest of things. Moms while they're cooking, dads while they're driving. The evangelizers in digital media, they are present for those moments. How many spiritual retreats can we have? How many spiritual retreats can we attend? But how much content do we have available How many opportunities for connection through digital media? So this is something that we have seen as we speak with evangelizers, this desire to connect, this desire to be there accompanying their communities. Something else that we saw is a need to be listened to. Not only from the evangelizers, also for the people who wanted to participate, the people that are consuming the content, they wanted to be a part of this. The number tells it all, 150,000 answers in 2.5 months. I mean, this impact is massive. And then it was this feeling of being a part of a process that was being carried on by the church, and it was like telling people, you matter, we care. And that made a massive difference. Then we also found that there is a very big desire from a digital evangelizer to go forth, to go where it is difficult to reach, to get to the ones that maybe are away from the church, the ones that are not necessarily in the parishes or having even a sacramental life. But guess what? There's stories of conversion. There's people coming back to parishes because of something an evangelizer said. When I started my ministry on the digital media, we had a season in which we invited a spiritual director from different countries. And we asked them, okay, there's people that maybe they have not found a spiritual director. So what is your best advice? What would you say to them? And people came from different countries every week to listen. The stories that we received, the stories that we heard are mind-blowing. People with thirst for the Lord are really being blessed by ministry, and conversion stories are not few. There are so many. As we progressed, I thought that was it. I thought I was going to just gather with some friends, send out the questionnaires, and I thought that was it. But it was not. We were invited to participate in the second stage of the synod. We were not even expecting it, but we were so happy because they were seeing what we were seeing. There was something important there brewing. We had a task. We needed to discern, and we were asked to send delegates to the assemblies. We created focus groups. We were discussing, we were getting together in communities, in small groups, discussing what is digital mission? How do you know you're a digital missionary? What's the theology behind it? What aspects are challenging to us? What are the benefits? Why should we care about this? Then we chose delegates and we sent them to this second stage physically, and it was amazing. The conversations that they had, what they can see in digital media, brought so much richness to the conversation. Precisely because of that, because they are in contact with the suffering, the pain, the struggles, but also the joys of day-to-day life. Then we wrote the report, we wrote our conclusions, and we submitted it. And then it was really, really amazing that we realized that we have a place that doesn't substitute anything in the church. There is a specific place for mission and digital media. It's not either or. We found it's both and. We're members of the body. Can you imagine if we all were only the same? If we learned how to do the exact same things, we wouldn't go that far. But there is a place for digital mission in the church that is not a substitute for anything else. And as members of the body, we had a perspective to offer that nobody else had. We were able to reach people that wouldn't have been reached if we hadn't done it. So what did we find? I just wrote season 2 to be a little bit dramatic. So we realized that digital missionaries want to be accompanied. There is a need for accompaniment. There is also in-person communities. We found out that digital missionaries are able to gather their communities in person and bring them to the parish, or do activities together. They go on missions together. They get together to pray the rosary. They have in-person conferences. So that was happening. It was not a substitute. It was actually bringing people home. Then we also found a challenge to unity. This is no surprise. We're all aware of it. We are all aware that it is a challenge to realize that that person who disagrees with you is not your enemy. That has no place in the church. We're not enemies. We're children of God. We're family. But that is a big challenge that we still face. And that is a challenge in which evangelizers participate, and we have seen that they are capable of overcoming this and actually bring unity to the church. How beautiful is that? That person you don't think you could have a conversation with, getting together online and actually finding solutions together, thinking together. Isn't that so nice? Well, it is possible. We found difficulties, but we also found openness to digital mission. We hear all the time that, okay, it can be very negative, it can be used for negative things. Yeah, it's true. But there was also the openness to say, what we get from digital mission is so beautiful that it is worth it to actually invest in it. Something that we found is also the desire, because the evangelizers want to be close to the bishops. They want to work with bishops, create these bridges of communication and support each other. They really want to have a relationship with them. And it goes the other way around. Many bishops also are welcoming the digital evangelizers and supporting them and encouraging them, which is beautiful because as spiritual fathers, they have adopted them. And the relationships are getting better and better as they know the benefits of what missionaries in digital media can achieve. And then people started to get curious. There was curiosity. What is going on here? What are you talking about? And people started asking more and more, and they wanted to discern, am I being called to digital ministry? How do I know? Can you help me out? How do I connect? There was interest and a lot of curiosity. So the historic moment, we were called to the universal stage. We were asked to send two candidates to the actual meetings in Rome. That was a moment that we were desiring so much, and when we received the call and they told us, we are in. That was such a special moment. It was like we have been working with the evangelizers, gathering the answers, just learning so much about this, and we wanted to share. We wanted to come. We usually use the image of how the Jesuits went to Asia, and then at some point they would come back and tell the Pope what they found out. This is the culture. This is what is working for us. This is not working at all. Let's not try that. Let's send more people. That is what we wanted to do. We wanted to come and share all the richness that we have found. So when we were told that we were in, that was such a joyful moment for us. It brings me tears when I think about it. And so we had to decide who to send. And that was not easy because mission is so interesting and so unique. You can have people, maybe 5 people in different countries that do youth ministry and social media, and it looks completely different. Because the set of skills of each missionary is so unique. Because it has to do with their hearts. It comes from the being to the doing. And that is beautiful about this kind of ministry, because you present what the Lord is doing in your life. And we all know that in social media, if it's not organic, it doesn't work. And people can tell. People can tell when it's fake. So finding That special, unique, spontaneous way in which God speaks through the ministries is so beautiful. But not only that, we have so many. Who was going to go? Well, we decided to send Sister Shiskia, a nun. In Spanish, they know her as La Monja Tuitera. That means the Twitter nun. Yeah, and she's pretty cool. And we also decided to present as a candidate Jose Urquidi. He is a Mexican evangelizer, and we prayed, we discerned, we presented some candidates, among them these two, and finally they were chosen. They were selected to attend the meetings in Rome, which was a big, big step. So the rest of us, what did we do? We decided we have built this beautiful community. We need to remain a community and accompany the process. So we got together, and for every week in the month of October, we had a workshop to help the rest of the evangelizers understand what the Synod was, to help them understand what was happening, and how they could get involved and get their communities involved so that this process would come also to their communities and everybody got to participate. We had different guests from different parts of the world, and we ended that session with what we called a synodal coffee. It was something very cool. So we had Monsignor Lucio, we had the two evangelizers that were representing us. They sat down at a table with a coffee, and they were giving us the inside scoop. They were sharing with us all the anecdotes, everything that was happening, how they were connecting, the conversations. In between the sessions, the most amazing conversations happened. And people started to reach out to them. Hey, I want to learn more about this. What do you mean when you say digital mission? What are we talking about? That all happened in between the sessions. So we had their ears. We had their attention. Then there was the document. When the final document came out, we were mentioned. It was so important that it went on there, what was happening, that they actually mentioned us in the final document, chapter 17. And I'm going to tell you what it said. Again, third wave. What did we see? There was greater awareness. They were there speaking about digital media, but a lot of the people there weren't aware. As it evolved, it developed into great interest. They were able to grab their attention and show them that it was impactful. And from that, we got great support. People asking, how do I support you? Then we realized that even though we had this support, we needed more. And the evangelizers also recognized, and they said they wanted formation. So sometimes we can be a little bit scared. Do I have enough knowledge? Am I ready to go into this ministry? And we are trying to facilitate that by creating the opportunities for formation. Just a couple of months ago, I want you to know, we created with SELAM, which is the Bishops' Conference in Latin America, a course that certified evangelizers. They actually got a diploma, and they did homework, and they presented projects, and they got training in how to have a conversation, how to listen to someone that disagrees with you. How do you start a ministry? And it was at a very low cost. It was, I think, between $20 and $25. And it was fabulous. They created a community. They have each other's emails and phone numbers, and they get together. Opportunities for collaboration came from that. And there was this awareness. I have not met an evangelizer that has told me, I don't need formation, I've had enough. Or, I don't care if I teach heresy. I have not seen that. The evangelizers that I have spoken to are very responsible and wanting to learn. And this is partly why they want a community to keep them checked in. And they want a community that will support them, of course. But they are very, very responsible, and they take it very seriously. And they seek to be formed. They do it. They do spiritual direction so that they can discern. They are being very, I'm going to say more than responsible, because it comes from love. It comes from how seriously they take it. So also, we realized that we needed to go beyond the practical level. We have a challenge to propel the theology. How do we understand it from a theological perspective? So there are groups that are working on that right now. And then we needed to make it known that just as we have a youth ministry or a family ministry, there is room for a digital ministry also. And in Latin America, we call them pastoral. It's like the office, to explain it a little bit. But there is room for that in the digital ministry as well. We have a very unique place because even though we use virtual spaces, that's not where we stop. So we were still to discover more things. Can I have the next slide, please? So what do we want? What do we want to do? After the synod, we saw that we had very clear conclusions. We had talked to so many evangelizers. We had the communities that started to grow. And then, what's the path ahead? We realized that we need to make a difference between just an influencer and a digital missionary. And for example, this is not about a number. And I want to share this story because it is so beautiful, and Monsignor Lucio enjoys sharing it because it really reflects that spirit. We have a missionary that has 12 followers. And he says, I can't have 13. I can't. I won't have 13. Why is that? Well, he accompanies people that are going through depression and have suicidal ideation. And you know what the good news are? They're still 12. And that is great. They don't need to be 13. That's amazing. Because we are not working for a number. We're working for the Lord. And it's not about a million followers. We don't care about that. It's about discerning. Are you called? Do you want to do it? So there is also a desire to those who are distant. It's not only your friends. This is not creating teams. This is for everyone. This is a desire to reach everyone, to be in touch with that person that disagrees with you and engage in conversation and understand each other. This is about bringing the joy of the Lord, the hope of the gospel to everyone. And I love how Pope Francis says it. Everyone, 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 not only those who hit like. Because we need to go into the darkness to bring light. And many people that are now close, they didn't agree at first. So this is this open heart to reach out to everyone and bring them back, and bring them home, help them go deeper into faith. And then another challenge, going towards full presence. How can we connect and bring people? We are like the frontliners. We go there, we announce the gospel, and then how to bring them to the parish. How do we connect with our diocese? That is something that we want to do. And also, and something very characteristic, creativity and innovation. How creative are these digital missionaries? And how are they innovating? And this is something that we consider for the future as well. How can we bring to the world what the world has not seen before? What can we do together that we cannot do alone? And this is why we're creating these communities, so that we can think together, come up with solutions, and also use our creativity to innovate. We know how digital media is being used right now, but it can be used in so many different ways. Let's get creative. Let's innovate. This is such a fertile land for innovation. So this is very characteristic of digital ministry. It's spontaneous, it's organic. I remember at some point I was listening to an evangelizer say, If it's overproduced, it's not going to be very good. Because the way you connect is through having people relate to you. A ministry is successful because people were able to connect with the person. And I was really reflecting on how do we know a ministry is successful, right? You cannot really measure the impact in the life of someone. And as I reflect on it, I realize that sometimes God may hide those results, those fruits of the mission from us, so that we remain humble. What would happen if we saw it all? What would happen if we saw how many people got moved by what we said? Maybe we would end up eating our own corn, right? So maybe it's just a spoonful of humility that we receive, just that we remember that it's not our own doing. And sometimes you will see the results. You will see the Lord unveiling His, so that we can see His grace. This project and what I'm doing here and what I would like to continue to do is get the evangelizers together and actually discern, what does it mean to you to be a digital evangelizer? We're learning from you. We're finding it out based on what we listen from you all. What are the challenges that you're facing? How can we connect our resources? Because what you have, someone else needs. What someone else has, you need. And at this point, we can get together, and not only here, but all over the world, and see what we have in common, find our differences, and become stronger. So, how do we start? If you have that movement in your heart that tells you, well, maybe I'm called to this, that's a good way to start. Because if you feel it in your heart, if you feel the Holy Spirit knocking the door, that's a great place. Let's discern. Because that's how mission starts. It comes from your relationship with God, from that grace that He's pouring in your life, and it is a calling. If you feel that, I always suggest spiritual direction, because I do believe that when you bounce these ideas with someone that can help you discern, you can be sure that you are stepping into what you should become. So many of the evangelizers have waited until they feel that it is a moment for them to start. But I would say a really, really good moment is when you know what you care about. If you know where your heart is, God's not going to play hide and seek with you. God will reveal to you and He will make it known to you where He wants you to go. So if you already have these ideas and you're bouncing them, I would say don't be afraid. Just go forth. Carry on with it. Creativity is so amazing, and there's no limit to it. So if you have an idea, I love it when I hear from evangelizers, I've been thinking about this. And sometimes we hesitate, but I mean, something that happens to me, I don't know if it happens to you, but you get this crazy idea and you think, no, this could never work. And you start negotiating with it. And maybe if I just make this adjustment. Or maybe, how about if I don't do it at all? I'm so comfortable right now, right? But I think the best ideas come when you tell yourself at some point, yeah, that's a terrible idea. And then you bounce it with someone you trust, and they go like, you know what, I think this could actually work. And then it does. And you get surprised by how many people respond to the idea you thought wasn't going to work. So being a digital evangelizer has many challenges and many blessings. And by discussing this with the evangelizers from around the world, we have found, for example, a challenge of being afraid. What if, I'm going to be so exposed. My life is going to be out there. And I would say, don't stop. Don't stop because of that. if it is taking you out of your comfort zone, I can read the fingerprints of God all over it. And I think the joy that comes from digital mission, you will not regret it if that is what He's calling you to do. You will never regret following Christ. So I would say, be not afraid and go forth. And with this, I was trying to be super brief, I guess I wasn't, but I would like to receive your questions, anything that I can do to help, anything that you would like to share with me, I would love to have a moment for that. So we have actually one of our team members working right now with many bishops in I think it was like a panel about polarization. So yeah, they are aware of what we're doing, but there is a differentiation that we need to make, and it is communications and digitizing communications from mission. It is not the same to keep your calendar in a Facebook account than to actually go in mission and ministry. Is it wrong? No, of course not. Technology we need to use. And it opens, and it makes things a lot easier. And it's easier that people find out about these events if they go online and everything is just there. Now, this is different from ministry. Because, as I said, we can use the tool and we can make a really nice image advertising our event, but that wouldn't be ministry, that would be communication. Yes, there is still fear. That is something legitimate, that is something that is still there. But I would say there is more interest than fear, and I think it's also up to us. It is up to us to communicate what we're doing. It is up to us to actually get to our priests and share with them what we are seeing. Right now, in Colombia and Brazil, they already have a structured digital ministry. Their offices are amazing, and they are working into creating that. So I would say, my suggestion, join the community so that the community can work together in reaching out and connecting with the bishops and with the priests. If we have that connection, those connections and relationships, I think it is easier for them to understand what we're doing, to embrace it, and to also see that it is a safe thing to do. You know, nothing's going to happen if you publish your event. Of course, that's a great thing, but that would be different from ministry. And I think the more relationships we build with our priests and with our bishops, we will be able to communicate this better. But I would say my experience has been one of support, an openness. And I hope that gives you also hope, because there is a lot of support that we're getting. Someone else? Do you have another question? This is a connection that happens from heart to heart. It comes from the vulnerability of both, the vulnerability of the missionary and the vulnerability of those who are following them. A lot happens that we don't see between the missionaries and their communities. And they are being reached out by their followers, and they engage in conversation with them, they engage in the comment sections, and they get that attention. And suddenly you find them at an event, and they get to speak more, but the connection, just because it is virtual, that doesn't mean it's not real, because you are just as vulnerable or more. What you are sharing, and I think it is also because of anonymity, because you're not really looking at the person, they open up, I think, easily. And I think a lot of the work that we can do when we engage in conversation with our communities, it has a lot of impact. And that is a person that you engage in conversation with that you will be able to accompany back into the church. So I think it is an opportunity that we cannot miss. And it is a gift when people are vulnerable to you.